So this one, which I actually shared last night with an audience, has to do with why cat and dogs, since the beginning of time, have been enemies. It's also one of those folktales that pretend or claim to explain why dead people can no longer come back on Earth. And this is the story of cat and dogs who are discussing the affairs of the village, and the dog, feeling that he was not getting enough meat, enough bones from humans, decided to go to God, asking for God to bring back dead people so that there will be more people eating on Earth, and he, in turn, will eat more. However, Cat was opposed to this idea because, according to Cat, this Earth was already so overpopulated, there was no more place to put those humans. To which Dog explained that those humans claimed to be so sad, all in tears whenever someone died, that they will find a way to squeeze some of those dead people back on Earth in their rooms. So this story goes that they both went to Papa God, and Papa God actually had to sort things out, noticing that Dog was actually so fat that he couldn't even bow to pay respect to God when approaching God to ask for some kind of favor. The plot is more complex than that, but apparently the cat was the one who had put some bones on the way to God's house, leading the dog to eat so much so that he appeared so fat, and as a result, God kicked him out of heaven. God decided that no dead people would come back on earth because they'll be noisy, they'll be speaking all the time and shouting and dancing, because down on earth they never had a chance to do that, and that would disrupt his sleep. So this is a basic explanation, according to our folk tales, how cat and dogs are now best enemies, so to speak, and second, the reason why also dead people cannot come back on earth. My life in Haiti has been first and foremost marked by the fact that my father was an agronomist. His background was about education of people in the countryside, the peasants, about how to master the art of cultivating the land. Now, because his job required him to travel all over the country and to conduct workshops and trainings, he would always take me and my brothers in the countryside. So because of that, we had a chance, while we lived in the capital, Port-au-Prince, we lived this urban life, but we were also heavily exposed to the rural life, which means that we saw the agriculturals, we saw the peasants in their natural environment, whether it's about cultivating the land, whether it's about participating in their religious or voodoo ceremonies. So on one hand, I was closely connected and living the rural life of Haiti, and on the other hand, I was also, as a student in a Catholic school, one of the best schools in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, I was also exposed to this other urban way of life. In the cultural arena, I've been known for more than a decade to be heavily involved into visual arts that would include mainly paintings, drawing, and illustration. I've also been involved in storytelling. I've released 4 storytelling CDs in Haitian Creole and in French. And I also present or perform Haitian folk tales. As far as my visual art, I forgot to mention caricature as well, because back in Haiti, I've used the caricature in a number of newspapers to try to be part of this whole dialogue around political discourse and the promotion of democracy. Migration has been one issue, because when I came here, I became more aware of the whole concept of discrimination and stereotyping and assumptions around certain cultures. So you may find some of my art that's depict, for example, the Statue of Liberty, with some people hanging on top of those peaks that are in the crown. You may find some of my paintings or illustrations about some black men with a heavy weight around his neck. You may find also some depiction of a woman pregnant of the world and still chained to some kind of pole. So these are themes that became more real for me once I moved here in the US. Not to say that I've personally experienced discrimination overtly, but I've seen, I've heard enough to understand that while the US is now a place where black people can clearly expand, can clearly achieve their dreams, but in certain quarters it's still a reality. And thing, I would say there is a richness now in the diversity of style that Haitian painters are exploring that offers a lot of options to art amateurs and to art critics trying to write about Haiti. So it's hard right now to strictly categorize Haitian paintings as what it used to be back in the 40s, the 50s, or the 70s. It's a richer, more diverse field, and people should be able to appreciate this diversity and remove the kind of stereotyping that they had before about Haitian painting. I'm totally committed to continue working with the Institute to try to reach out to my fellow artists, visual arts or poets, to try to bring whatever resources or skills that they have to support the work of the Institute, and ultimately, which is the ultimate goal, alleviate the suffering of those who are still alive and sick of the cholera. There are certain things that are ingrained into humans as members of this larger humanity that allows people to communicate all kind of ways, by sharing the food, by smiling at each other, by claiming that you are trying to say bonjour or bonsoir. So I've been telling my friends, pay a trip to Haiti, stay in the countryside, buy Haitian painting to bring back to your friends here. This further contribute to show something that's more paying lip service to the concept of diversity, to the concept of sharing something as human beings. But this is really establishing connections, partnership, and the friendships from members of another community, the community of Haiti.